Welcome to the Infinite Way, where spirituality meets humanity. And I'm so excited to have my guest here, Ms. Melvina Ford. Welcome.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. And Melvina, I'm going to have you introduce yourself just a little bit to our audience.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm glad to be on here today with Enolia. My name is Melvina Ford. Some call me Coach Melvy, call me Reverend Coach Melvy. I am a holistic metaphysical coach and counselor, a cognitive behavioral specialist. I am an author, international speaker. I am the founder of Rebirth Holistic Healing, where I also practice art healing, art therapy, actually healing. And I am enjoying the journey that I am on right now.
So thank you for that beautiful introduction. And we're so excited. So tell us just a little bit about your coaching program, what the basis of it is.
So, well, Rebirth Holistic Healing began as Rebirth Deliverance Worldwide. The name has changed several times. And I guess it changed because of the growth transition that I was going through over 20 years plus of healing, which is good. So the basis initially starts from the heart of a woman, which is one of my themes for my practice because of my ancestors, starting with my mother and my grandmothers and the traumas that they've gone through. And I, unbeknownst to me, I've always had the question, you know, growing up in adult life as well, where did I come from? Who am I? Why did I go through the things that I go through? And, what is the meaning of life about literally? So I began to ask questions, and I didn't get a lot from siblings or anything. My grandmother, who I love her and miss her dearly, she was the one that gave me most of my information from what she dealt with my mother when she gave birth to her, and the denial of her family, of his family, to my mother, from my mother spending time with her father later on in years when she was 5. She came back, did not want to spend time with him. So there was a lot of rejection going on that side. Not understanding how the generational trauma can transfer from child to child if it's unhealed. I look at my sisters and me, what we went through in life, our different lives, and what pains and traumas that we had to deal with. And all of a sudden, later on in life, after I went through my own, something said, okay, something has to stop. Why is this happening? And what's the end of it? And the point where I got to wanting to really understand these questions was when I ended up in the psych ward from attempted suicide. This was in 2000, no, take it back, 1998. And from that point, even though literally I talked myself out of the psych ward, 12 hours was enough for me, but I was still in that place, not understanding. I just knew there had to be more. And at the same time, I was attending a lot of different church services, and this church, that church, ended up going back home from where I came from in Michigan, around family, still dealing with that family dynamic of a lot of pain and hurt. So eventually got out of the church. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just whatever your life, your journey is. So I want to put that out there because I don't want anyone to think that that's a reason for a lot of people being hurt, even though that's where a lot of it comes. A lot of people blame it on. So after I got out of that, I started my own journey. I asked those questions again. Where am I? What am I doing? Why? My grandmother had the deepest conversations during the last 10 years of her life. Actually, when I went back home to Michigan, I got to know about my mother. I got to know about her. I got to know a lot of things that even my siblings did not understand. They did not know. My grandmother did not tell them. I was the baby. Literally, I'm the youngest. So that was a lot of information to take on. So I made it up in my heart after going through my first, I'm going to say my first dark night of the soul, that I was going to heal. I was going to find out why. And the more I kept searching, I found out more about my dad's side of the family and what he dealt with in his traumas and the familial traumas in the life cycle that I had. I look at it now and it's funny because you think it would be painful. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it was painful to understand and look at. And a person who doesn't know where they are and who they are spiritually and the place that they fit in the world, you you think, oh my God, my life is a wreck. That's the first thing you think. But now coming full circle with it all, you see your purpose. And I knew then it was my job to not only heal for myself, for my siblings, for my mother, for both my grandmothers, for my father, which is, one of my grandmothers, it became so huge. But it also came back down to the heart of a woman for
Right.
me, because I felt like a woman's voice going through this, it's a lot different now versus 20 years ago. That's a huge, healing time, but we didn't have a voice. We had to be strong. We had to hold it all in. We had to protect the family. We had to keep it quiet for the family name. And everything inside of me screamed and like, no.
So I want to pause you right there because, and I hope you don't mind if we explore this, but there are people there who face the feelings that they have that want to go towards suicide. There are people who face the dark night of the soul, and the circumstances by which put people in that space, in that place, are really just the common things that are all around us. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because those who are watching that might be in that headspace, that might have that kind of feeling, I want them to understand that, one, that they're not alone, two, that it's the typical things, and maybe talk a little bit about, three, how you were able to turn that around.
So during my time of that deep depression, I didn't even realize I was in depression.
Right.
Sometimes we don't know it, but then once I realized it, I was able I was able to hide it very well. I was a functioning depressive person, if that's a word. But because of my father raising me, then he passed away. My mom passed away at 3. That's a loss. My dad passed away right after I graduated high school. That's a loss. That's the only person I knew in my life. Then I had 2 older siblings, brothers, who kind of took place of my dad, who were hard on me. They were very hard on me because of how they were raised. Can't blame them. It causes, when you're in that space and you have love, but you don't hear the words, I love you. You're taken care of, but that emotional or that nurturing, you don't get, you lose it. You don't have it. And then you find yourself trailing off into areas of looking for love in all the wrong places. I'm sure you heard of that.
Mm-hmm.
You end up in relationships with men you should not be in relationships with, married men. You end up going through traumas and you just want love. So if someone comes at you and they tell you everything you want to hear, you clasp onto that
Right.
with dear life. And you're not trying to hurt anyone. You sincerely aren't, but you're lost because you don't even know who you are, and you don't even love yourself, because you're dealing with all these things that are coming at you, and you're thinking it's love because you don't really understand the totality of what love truly is. So that's what ended me up in the psych ward, because I got tired of the cycle of, this is not right. Okay, let me go here. This is not right. And once I got there, I knew it wasn't time for me to end my life, but I just didn't know how to move forward. And for me personally, I didn't, like I said, I knew how to fake it until I made it. Being in the psych ward for me personally, and some people have dealt with this and some people haven't, I didn't like the system at the time. I'm sure it has changed again, but for me mentally, it was like I didn't need you to tell me my wrongs. I needed you to hear me and help me figure out where I made the mistake. But the only thing they wanted to do was, well, point the finger at me and give me medication. That's not helping anyone.
No.
You need to be able to face that. You know, I denied it all, and then I knew then when I came out of the psych ward, which was 12 hours, I talked myself from 2:30 in the morning to 2:30 afternoon. I was out. I knew it wasn't a place that I needed to be or I wanted to be. but I wasn't getting the help. So I did self-help for me. Everyone can't do that. It was just for me. I knew that there had to be another way. So for me, I started digging as to what caused me. I went through a literal 12 step of depression, of healing. You know, you have it for Alcohol Anonymous and narcotics, but there, for me, I believe there's a 12 step for depression
Right.
if you're willing to go through it.
So that's from the perspective of actually living it. Now, you study metaphysics.
Yes.
Talk to me from a metaphysical point of view, what was lacking in that aspect of your life, if you can? I mean, because this is an eclectic question, I understand. But
Mm-hmm,
from a
mm-hmm,
metaphysical point of view, because a lot of times what happens is that, okay, from human condition, we observe things, right? So what I heard you say is that when I didn't get enough touch, feel the actual feeling of love, warmth, nurturing, somebody caring about me by hugging me or just
mm-hmm,
being there for me, or that tucking in at night or whatever it takes, to have
mm-hmm,
that human condition of love, physical point of view. And then
mm-hmm.
from an emotional point of view, it was also absent because your brothers only knew what they needed to do in terms of taking care of you, and that's food in your mouth, roof over your head, clothes on your back. But there wasn't that emotional engagement. But there's a spiritual point of view also that something is
Exactly.
lacking. Can you talk about it a little bit from that perspective?
Yes. This is a part where I knew, and I'm looking at it from two different sides of spiritual, because most people, when you think spiritual, you think religion.
Right.
So I did mention that at one point I stopped going to church because it even wasn't answering questions that I needed. I knew somewhere inside of me. Now this is the clue, um, the beginning of it. I knew inside of me that something was different, something was wrong, something was missing, and that was started my that's what literally started my metaphysical journey. And the more I study, I am now at the University of Metaphysics. I'm sorry, I'm an alumni, and the one thing they taught us is everything that we had been searching for on the outside has always been on the inside, whether it's knowledge, whether it's love, whether it's emotion, anything that you needed to live in life. We're programmed to think it's on the outside and we get it from someone or something, when actually internally, spiritually, because of the spiritual entity that we truly are, we have everything we need. Anything else, and if I were to say it in layman terms, is just butter. It takes going inside and getting truly silent and listening, and going back to the religious side, that still small voice inside of you. That's true. Metaphysically as well. It's true. That still small voice. A lot of people are afraid to reach into that part because of the programming of religion in the world, but it's innate in us. It's something that we eventually, those who want to and are not afraid to reach in and understand it, it gives them that transformation that they truly need to feel whole. Because then all of a sudden, once you understand you have everything you need, you don't really need all the things that are extra to survive and to make it through this journey. And you're a lot more at peace. You're a lot happier. I'm going to say this, you become the observer. You literally become the observer and go, you kind of get a chance to sit back and go, nah, nah, because I did that. At one point I sat back and I remember wanting to be married, and I've been married in my mind 25,000 times. I've been in Maui, I've been married in Paris, I've been married at the Niagara Falls, literally everywhere. But now where I'm at in my life, I'm like, if I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. But at the same time, I'm at peace. It's not something I desire to have, or it's going to break me. Because when I wake up in the morning and I look at the sun, or I go out and I hear the trees, the wind blow, the birds, it's like this is the best thing since sliced bread. What was I looking for? So metaphysically, we have the joy, we have the peace. It's innate in us. We have to be unafraid to dig through the murk and mire, through the dirt and all the pain and okay, there's a light down there that's shining so brightly until it's overwhelming at time, and there's this unimaginable love that you just can't even, you can't breathe. Sometimes you're like, oh wow, really, this this is what I was missing the whole time, me here, right here. Oh, I'm good, you can go ahead on.
So, what would you say is the most precious thing that you've learned over the last year or so in your life to improve it and to lift yourself up as the coach that you are and as the life that you're leading?
Understanding who you truly are, not so much as who but what,
Mm.
because we look at the who and it becomes a point of um what's the word I'm looking for, a description, like a flower. We always have to have a description of it, or oh, the flower is red, or we can't just enjoy it. So we have to have that same perspective within our own selves. What am I in? And can I take this feeling and just understand it without creating or putting an emotion to it? you know Emotions are good, they're there for a reason, but at the same time, I know now that they should not have too much power over you. They shouldn't basically have any. I mean, it's to understand things. Okay, I feel pain for that, but is it going to control me to the point where I lose my focus
Mhm.
on what it is I'm truly doing, what it is I'm truly here for? Who are you? If you Who are you outside of your mother? Who outside of you, out of your father, your parents, your community, your siblings, your school? Who are you? What are you? What's in here? Put put self first. Put on your own oxygen mask first before you put help someone else, because you can't do anything for anyone else. And I stand on this. You can't do anything for anyone else until you take care of self first. That's it. Literally.
Beautiful, beautifully said. So then, and understanding that we have to do our own work, what happens when you've done your work, when you feel like you've finally reached a place that you've put in enough of the work that it's shifted your life? What does that feel like? What does that mean?
I'm laughing because just went through this. Okay, so I'm gonna say I went through two dark nights of the soul. The first one was not fun, but it was needed. The second one was just recent. That is unexplainable. The one thing I do want everyone to understand is healing. I don't believe it ever stops. I believe it goes in levels, because you might come clean with this, but then there's maybe a little trickling of something else. Be open to anything, be open to all of it, because on this journey while we're here, we're continually learning, we're continually growing, and we're going to be continually healing some kind of way. Even if it's in you may catch it quickly. It's just, it doesn't take 20 years to heal from something as much as it does, once you get to, oh, I recognize this. I understand this. I know how to deal with it. Okay, you caught me off guard. I might have cussed you out a minute ago. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me get back on track. Healing is always. I truly believe that, it's just not as painful and it's not as long. And we have to be open to it.
Yeah. So then what would you suggest for those people on a healing journey? Because see, what happens is that many of us on that healing journey, we go physically, okay, I have to heal physically. Yeah, I had this trauma in my life, and physically I have to do that. And emotionally, I have to heal emotionally. And like my emotions can run away with me, and I try to keep my emotions in check. But many people don't understand the journey of healing spiritually. That's a different journey. And what happens is
Mhm.
that we go on the journey and we do one of the three or two of the three, but a lot of times three of the three just doesn't happen.
That's true. That's true.
And so, what would you say to that person that is going through two of the three, but is missing the point on the spiritual journey? Because a lot of people will say that. They'll say, oh my gosh, what are you talking about? I go to church every week. Or, oh my gosh, what are you talking about? You know, I meditate, but it's more than that.
Mhm.
And what would you say is the best thing for someone to do when that's the case?
That's a tricky one because I can remember at one point when I was still in the church and I felt like I had to get that was where I was supposed to be. And it was a struggle coming out of it. But when I finally did, it was okay. You have to really, I'm going to give my example and I'm going to let it be that. I knew within that where I was, I did get some information, but something inside me was screaming more.
Mm.
Something inside me was saying, okay, I hear that. But at the same time, if something didn't agree with my spirit, I just did not, I couldn't, I couldn't just say, amen. That just wasn't me. I couldn't do it. I had questions. And you don't want to disrespect leaders. So you know, something inside literally my spirit was like, go study, go find out the truth. Go do what you need to do to get peace within yourself because obviously this is going to keep coming around and you're going to not be at peace. So, even though it's not coming from here and this is where you are right now, that's not going to stop you from getting what it is you need to get for yourself. And I listened to that voice. I listened to what was in my heart, and that was the beginning of my journey of what else is out here that I'm missing that's not fulfilling me. That's supposed to be fulfilling me actually. And that was the beginning of learning a lot of truths, especially about the spiritual side, you know. And I went through a cognitive dissonance about it because of being in church for so much, you know, and not understand. I knew, you know, how the church is in your heart. We hear it, but it's not connecting. You know, it's not connecting. We'll say it all these words. Okay, but you're not walking the talk. We're not walking the talk. Something in me is like, I'm seeing this, but I'm not doing this. I had to get to the doing. So it was in my heart. I started going into my heart. Well, if it's in here, then you know everything you're telling me. Not saying that everyone doesn't need that guidance to get to this place, but I'm good. I know to go here, so I can't. Nothing you tell me is going to make me fear anymore. I can't fear what you say because if what you're saying is true, then we're on the same page. You're not above me. You're not below me. We're all on the same page, going to the same destiny. It may be different paths, but we're still going to go to the same spot. We're going to end up in the same place, which is here, which is okay. That was the journey, and a lot of a lot of people did not understand that with me. I felt like the trailblazer at the time
Hmm.
because again, my spirit was like, you know, I'm sitting at home and I'm laughing about this because it's so funny now. And something told me, get online and make this announcement. And I'm hearing in my head, you're going to just say, I'm not a Christian anymore. And I'm sitting on the side of my bed going, what? You want me to what? Are you crazy? Say it. Oh, God. So I did it. And of course, you know, you're going to get the attacks. But then there are some who are in the church who actually backed me up. Leave her alone. Leave her alone. There were some who were in the metaphysical, but there are some in the church that were like back. And there was, well, I'm going to pray for you. I'm good. I'm good. So listen to what that voice is on the inside. Seriously, that's where it's going to lead you. You know beyond a shadow of a doubt you will know it because your stomach is going to start flipping. Something is going to feel like it's screaming on you, like, no, get me out of here. You're going to know it. It's
It's
up
so
to you to listen.
Yeah, and it's so funny because, really all you said to everybody else is that I'm expanding the boundaries of my limited beliefs, right? You didn't say you were throwing anything away. You just
Right.
basically said, I'm expanding my knowledge base and I don't want this particular piece to define me solely anymore,
Exactly.
right? It doesn't mean that
Exactly.
it's bad. It doesn't mean that it's good. It doesn't mean anything. It's just that I want to expand my boundaries. And in expanding that boundary and learning more about yourself and learning more about just the questions that you always have had and wanted answered, you know, doesn't make it what, we love to put things in a box. This is wrong. This is right.
Right.
This is black, this is white. There's no in between. It has to be one or the other. But the whole thing is that we're supposed to be living our lives in balance, which is there's a little bit of this and there's a little bit of that, and there's a little bit of this and there's a little bit of that. And that's what keeps us in balance. The pendulum swings both ways, back and forth, to do what? To cross the center, because the main piece is to
Exactly.
always be centered, try to cross the center.
Yes.
So it's really interesting that whenever we honor what is in our heart, that people always have opinions of left or right. And God bless the ones who finally who actually say, well, let her do what she wants, because it's just like you're expanding your horizons.
Mhm.
So understanding that, what is the soul's calling? Because it sounds like you had a soul's calling and not just a calling. Right. And I think that there's a difference between, oh, I think I want to do this versus a soul's calling, where for me, it's like I cannot ignore it. It means it's coming from such a deep, 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 deep place that
Mhm.
no matter how much I mask it, no matter how much I try to cover it up, no matter how much I get distracted off of the task, it's still a soul's calling. It
Mhm.
means it's coming from such a deep place. I can't ignore it. That
Mhm.
means I can ignore it for 2, 3 years, and then 3 years later, I'm still thinking the same thing. 5 years later, I'm still thinking the same things. 20 years
Mhm.
later, I'm still thinking back to, oh, when I was 20, I should have did this, and I never did it. Maybe I'll do it now at 40. Is it too late? Or 50? Is it too late? But
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
soul's calling. What are your thoughts?
So for me, I would have to say it's always been, and it centers around understanding death, but it got past that. It now centers around the journey back home, if that
Mm.
makes any sense.
Well,
It's
I
it,
want you to
it
clarify between death and the journey back home, because what's this perspective regarding death?
well, okay, I'm gonna go there. Thank you for asking that. I like questions that I can answer. Death. We feel okay, humans, the human side, physical side of us feels like death is the end. And a lot of people do not understand that we are spirit, first of all, and spirit, we don't die. We're just on a journey and we transition back to spirit. I like to say this, we are literally in a hologram. We are literally wearing costumes. I think of it as the holodeck from Star Trek. This is the program that I want to take on this time. Okay, but when you're done with that program, Spock and them came off the holodeck and they were doing back to what they were doing. I look at this as right now we're on the holodeck. We're having this experience that we plugged into. And when okay, I'm done with this now. I'm ready to go. I'm gonna try something else later on. You know, so to put that in perspective, a lot of people haven't, even those in the church, we're spirit, but you haven't crossed over to understand we don't die. This is just a costume.
Hmm.
We don't die. I used to fear that moment. I'm like, what happens after that? What goes on? And that's a lot of things that people don't understand. And they cry and they have these mourning. We're more into the emotional side of death than and the fear side of death, then understanding this is just the end of a story. You're good. You're fine. Everything. You're still alive. You are more vibrant. Actually, sorry, more vibrant than you were in this costume. Because
Right.
if you think of the Lion King play, you know, Mufasa, he had probably one of the heaviest costumes on. I'm pretty sure that when that stage play was over at the end of all those weeks, he could not wait to take that thing off and just be like, oh,
Okay. Okay.
no. So I look at life like that. I look at that part like that. Every day, especially, you know, when you find out about a family member that's crossed over and you think, okay, you look how where you were as a kid versus where you were at, you know, a young adult, and then you look at where you are now. Okay, our parents and our aunts and our uncles are gone. We're the next in line. You know, it got a little bit more serious for me. I'm like, I can't. I'm not playing games anymore. I need to know everything I need to know. I want to connect with my spirit. I want to understand this side and that's. I want to get back to knowing who I truly am, really am. And I want that part to shine more than anything else. Yes, I have to be down here for a purpose. Yes, I have a path to help others so they maybe that see this planet is on good ground and they can take what they get, because I know when the students are ready, the teacher will appear. But that part of me, when it's time to transition, I want to be just like I see the elders when they're transitioning. They're like, I see the light. They're happy and they're at peace and they're like, I'm ready. It's okay. So you think about that and you're like, wow,
Yeah.
that piece right there is so amazing. That's for me is the ultimate.
Okay. So talk about the other side of it because we were talking about this from a soul's calling. So you talked about the death side of it. Now what's the other side?
The spiritual side of it is even while you're on this earth, understanding that, you know, if you don't focus on that part of it so much, it's easy to, yeah, it's easy to kind of like transition in between and to connect with that and be at peace and literally hear from the inside. It all happens from the inside. I truly believe that, you know. Um, it's still that part of me that I still am learning to understand, being honest about it. I know it, but here it's still that connection. It's like, okay, where's the missing link from me? I know it's there. You know how you know something exists, but to reach out to it and touch it is like, I know it's there. I'm still feeling for it.
Yeah.
I'm still feeling for it. So I believe it's there. I know it's there. But the connection for me, that's the part of the journey right now for me.
Okay. Okay. So I'm looking at our time and I know we're coming up soon. An hour. The time just flies.
It
But
did.
what I would love for you to share is just some tips for those who are out there listening in terms of finding their path and honoring their soul's calling. Just some thoughts that you might have around
Never doubt or second guess yourself, because that is going to guide you into places that a lot of people are never going to understand that you're supposed to go. Be true to yourself, be true to your mind, be true to that gut feeling. It's all important. It makes sense. Yes, you're a kid and you can't say anything to your parents. Yes, you're a young adult. You can't say back to your elders, but there will come a time where you can stand strong into what you believe, and it's your journey to go on. This is your assignment. It's what you need to do. If you're on that path and you're hurting, find out why. Listen to those bells and whistles that are going off. Don't, you know, it's easy to say let's do the best thing for family or friends or whoever, whatever, greater good. But at the end of the day, the greater good should always start from within, because You can't help them on their journey, and they cannot help you on your journey, because I remember hearing a lot of elders say, I came into this world alone and I'm going to go alone. That's physically saying it, because at one point we're still all linked spiritually. But on the journey, you did come through that womb by yourself. And when it's time to take that last breath, you are going to transition alone. You're going to connect. You're not going to be alone for too long. But on that transition, that's a journey that you're going to have to take. But you have to be at peace with it. Find that peace within now. So when it's time to take that journey, you'll be completely 100% ready.
Mm, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. So, Coach Melvina,
Yes.
how can people get in contact with you? How can people find you?
Well, I am literally on all social medias. Facebook under Melvina Ford, spelled Melvinia Ford, Ford, like the car. I am also on LinkedIn, Melvina Ford. I am on YouTube under Rebirth Holistic Healing, and TikTok as well. So if you look for Rebirth Holistic Healing or you look for Melvina Ford, you will find me.
And any last words you want to share, or anything else you want to share at all with our audience?
Yes, I do. I am so proud of myself for the connection that you and I have. And
Oh,
I'm glad I listened to my heart, because it's amazing working with you.
oh,
And literally, I mean it from the, I'm not going to get emotional. I'm not going to get emotional. But this has really been a time for me where, again, no, I didn't go off the path, but I took another, I took a, I took a turn that probably may have I needed to go on to get me to where I am. But the moment I heard it in my spirit, the moment I heard you speak, I had that inside voice. You need to connect with her. And it was like there was such a kindred spirit going on, and I just cried. I'm like, this, I have never met this woman before, but for some reason. So I knew, and I am so grateful for everything that I've learned, the healing that has taken place over the last, what, 2 months now, probably, especially over the last 2 weeks. I'm on center now. You have been such a blessing to me, and I'm going to tell anyone that's listening, if you are serious and you really want to know what's going on with you, yes, there are various coaches out here. Yes, there are different people out here. But if you want the real deal, if you want to someone that is going to give you the truth, is going to not flinch, straight no chaser, but come from the heart of love, and you can actually receive it openly, then she would be someone that I would definitely recommend. And I mean that, because all I did was read the book. All I did was listen to it. And I'm like, nope, I don't know what I have to do, but I have to get with this woman. And because of it, I'm where I am now mentally. 2 weeks ago, I had a healing, and it changed me. It opened up. I couldn't even talk. I slept for 24 hours and I could not talk. I can't explain it. I probably will never be able to. But if you're ever serious about what it is you want from your life, and you really want to know your path, and you want to understand your journey mentally, physically, and yet spiritually, because you cannot have one without the other, this will be the woman to really have in your life. She's going to help you, and she's going to love you through it. Come hell or high water, whether you receive it. But I guarantee you, if you don't finish the class first, you're going to come back. You're going to come back. And I say that with so much love. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I have been through coaching. I have international mail. This was it. This was it for me.
Thank
And
you. Thank you.
yes.
Thank you so much. And I am here to advocate for Coach Reverend Melvina Ford because she comes from her heart. She tells you like it is, and she holds your hand and lifts you up as you learn, you open your heart, you expand your limited belief system, and needed guidance along the way. Coach Melvina Ford. Thank you so much for being on The Infinite Way, where spirituality meets humanity. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.